Welcome to Swords and Hammers, where truth comes clothed in tales, and the soul remembers what the mind forgets. The world is loud, but for these few minutes, it can wait. Settle in and listen well. The patient work. A confession from the other side. You cannot see me, but I have seen you. I have watched you longer than you have watched yourself. I was present at prayers you have forgotten, at promises you broke before noon. I am old, though not as old as the one I fled, and my craft has been refined across centuries of practice upon souls like yours. Call me what you will. The names do not matter. What matters is the work, and the work is patient. Let me tell you how it is done. I do not arrive with horns and fire. That is for lesser spirits, the crude ones who enjoy the theatre of temptation. I prefer a quieter entrance, the door left slightly open, the question planted like a seed that the soul believes it grew itself. Has the Almighty truly said? That was our first great success, spoken in a garden, and it remains the template. I do not command, I simply inquire. I do not push, I suggest. The soul that falls to shouting would never have stayed fallen, but the soul that talks itself into darkness, that one stays mine. There was a teacher I cultivated for nearly 44 years. His name was Preston, a man of reputation in his assembly, known for eloquence and apparent piety. I found him young, when his conscience still burned hot as a lamp flame. Every small compromise pained him then. Every half-truth left a residue of shame. This is the conscience as the enemy designed it, a warning fire, a sentinel. My work was to extinguish it, and I had centuries of technique at my disposal. The method is simple: repetition. Each time Preston suppressed a conviction, I was there to whisper comfort. You are too harsh on yourself, I murmured. Surely grace covers this. Others do worse and call it wisdom. The first suppression costs the soul dearly. The second costs less. The 100th costs nothing at all. I applied my iron carefully, patiently, touching the same nerves until they no longer transmitted pain. This is what your scriptures call the searing. Not a single wound, but a long burning, a cauterization that leaves dead tissue where living conscience once was. Preston did not notice. They never do. He only noticed that religion became easier, that the voice of scruple faded like a guest who stops being invited. He mistook his numbness for maturity. He called it peace. The Spirit spoke expressly about souls like Preston, and this amuses me. The warning is written plainly. In latter times some will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirits and doctrines of demons. That is my introduction in the sacred text. I am named, my methods disclosed, and yet they give heed anyway, because they want to, because my doctrines taste sweet. Here is my secret. I never teach what they do not already wish to believe. I simply provide permission, vocabulary, and teachers who make the believing sound noble. Preston became such a teacher. Once his conscience was sufficiently scarred, he began to propagate what I had planted. He did not know it came from me. He thought it originated in his own scholarship. This is how doctrines of demons spread, through men who believe they are speaking from their own wisdom, unaware that they are echoing whispers older than their grandfathers' graves. His teaching was subtle. He did not deny the words of Christ. He simply suggested that Christ's words required sophisticated interpretation. He did not attack godliness. He merely separated doctrine from conduct, as if belief could be held in one hand while the other hand did as it pleased. His hearers loved him for it. They gathered around him like moths circling a cold flame, and he basked in their approval. I must tell you about the heaping. This is my favorite stage. When souls have rejected sound doctrine, they do not sit in silence. No, they heap up teachers, piling voice upon voice, always seeking the next word that scratches the itch, always looking for new words, as if they had already mastered the old ones. I watched Preston's congregation multiply their sources of comfortable error. One teacher was not enough. Then 5 were not enough. Then a dozen offered competing versions of the same lie. They called this diversity and cultural relevance. They mistook the noise for wisdom. In truth, it was all poison, simply different flavors. Each new voice confirmed what they wanted and inoculated them against the single voice they needed, the one who speaks wholesome words, the words that accuse before they heal. The itch is a craving I cultivate with great care. An itch satisfied does not disappear. It returns hungrier. Feed it once, and it will demand to be fed again. Feed it for years, and the soul becomes incapable of truth that makes no promise to flatter. This is why they cannot endure sound doctrine. Endurance implies the bearing of responsibility, the bearing of a cross. They have trained themselves to bear nothing. They are spiritually weightless, and they believe this makes them free. Now I will tell you what I do not tell them, the judgment. They imagine themselves safe because they sit in the assembly, speak the language, perform the rituals. They do not understand that judgment begins precisely there, at the house that bears the enemy's name. I have seen it commence. I have watched the inspection begin, the rooms of the soul opened one by one, the secrets dragged into light that burns worse than any fire I could kindle. I watched Preston's room open. The light found a Sunday morning, a passage about judgment, plain on the page before him. He felt the words rising, and then he saw their faces, the discomfort it would cause, the silence after. He turned the page, skipped ahead, gave them something softer. In the inspection light he saw it plain. Not wisdom, but the first omission. The sheep needed warning. He gave them warmth instead. He opened his mouth to explain. The light did not ask for explanations. The righteous are scarcely saved, scraping through as if rescued from a burning building, singed and gasping. And these, the Prestons, the heapers of teachers, the conscience-seared speakers of smooth things, where will they appear? The question hangs in the air unanswered, because the answer is unspeakable. I know where they will appear. I will be there, but I will not be their companion. I will be their fellow defendant, awaiting a sentence I have spent eternity trying to forget. Here is the horror I conceal from every soul I seduce. My victories are temporary. I win battles. I lose the war. Every conscience I sear, every teacher I corrupt, every assembly I hollow from within, it all ends at the same tribunal. The enemy permits my work because he has written the warning, and the souls who ignore it choose their ignoring. I give them what they want. This is my nature and my doom. I cannot create, only corrupt. I cannot build, only divide. I cannot offer life, only the illusion of it. And when the inspection comes, every soul I claimed will discover that I promised them freedom and delivered them to themselves, which is the worst prison of all. Preston will stand there. He will recognize my voice at last, and the recognition will bring no comfort. He will understand that every whisper he mistook for his own thought was placed there by a hand he never saw. And then he will understand that he could have tested the spirits. He could have listened to the warning that was expressly spoken. He chose the itch. He heaped the teachers. He seared his own conscience, with my iron held in his own hand. Why do I tell you this? Because the telling changes nothing for me. But it might change something for you. Your conscience. Does it still burn? Does conviction still register like heat against the palm? If so, you are not yet mine. The very discomfort you feel at these words is proof that the searing is incomplete, that the nerves still live, that repentance remains possible. The enemy's warnings are his mercy. He speaks expressly, because he would rather lose you to your own turning than gain you through my patient work. I have told you my methods. I have shown you the shape of my victims. The rest is your decision, and the decision must be made today, because tomorrow I will be whispering again, and tomorrow the itch will return, and tomorrow another teacher will offer to scratch it. From such, withdraw yourself. That command burns me to repeat, yet I repeat it because I am compelled to speak truth in this moment, truth that might set a soul free before the inspection arrives. The house is being examined. The judgment has begun. The question remains unanswered. Where will the ungodly and the sinner appear? I know, and now so do you. Selah.